Who is in control of your life? It's a simple question, but one that many of us rarely stop to think about. We go through life making decisions every day, believing that we are completely in control. I'm not talking about the little choices we make, like deciding when to take a shower, what brand of coffee to drink every morning, what clothes to wear, what car to drive, or whether to go to work or stay home. Those are decisions we can make for ourselves. But what about the things we can't control? Who is in control when life doesn't go according to plan? When your hard work doesn't produce the result you hoped for? When doors close, opportunities disappear, or your future suddenly feels uncertain? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, who is really in control of my life? There was a season in my life when I was overwhelmed with fear about my future. I felt stuck. I had lost the motivation to do the things I once loved, and every day felt like I was simply going through the motions. I worried about what people might think of me. They had known me as someone passionate and driven, but I was afraid they would notice that something has changed. I feared they would see my weaknesses and realize I wasn't the person they thought I was. Everything felt like it was falling apart. My future looked as gray as the mist before sunrise. I thought that if I worked hard enough, gave my very best, and accomplished all my goals, I could control what my future would become. But when I finally reached what I had been striving for, I realized I had arrived at the wrong destination. I had been chasing things that were never meant to define my life. Then, one day, I reached the point where I could no longer carry everything on my own. So I surrendered it all to God. That didn't mean my fear disappeared overnight. There were still days when fear and worry tried to creep back into my heart. There were still questions I couldn't answer and uncertainties I couldn't understand. But I chose to keep trusting. I chose to keep praying, even on the days when I didn't feel like praying. I waited quietly, not knowing how God would unfold His plans for my life. There was no instant miracle, no magic. It was a process, a journey of learning to trust Him one day at a time. Slowly, I began to notice something changing, not just around me, but within me. My circumstances weren't always perfect, and life didn't suddenly become easy. I still faced challenges. I still had worries. But those worries became lighter because I knew I had a God who knows everything and is always in control. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." That verse became a promise I held on to whenever fear tried to take over. My peace didn't come from having all the answers. It came from knowing that God was leading me even when I couldn't see the whole path ahead. I realized that I no longer had to be the one holding the steering wheel. Instead, I became the passenger, trusting the one who sees the beginning and the end, the one who knows every turn in the road before I ever reached it. And that changed everything. So maybe you're watching this today because you're in that same season. Maybe you're doing everything you can, yet nothing seems to be working. Maybe you're exhausted from trying to control every outcome. If that's you, I want to encourage you with this. You don't have to carry the weight of your future by yourself. God never asked us to control everything. He asked us to trust Him. Trust doesn't mean you'll immediately understand His plans. It doesn't mean life will suddenly become perfect. But it does mean that even in the middle of uncertainty, you can experience peace because you know who is leading you. So, let me leave you with the same question I asked at the beginning. Who is really in control of your life? Is it your fears, your expectations, what other people think of you? Or are you willing to place your life in the hands of the one who loves you, knows you completely, and has a purpose for your life? For me, surrendering control wasn't about giving up. It was about finally trusting the one who has always been in complete control of my life. And honestly, that surrender became my greatest breakthrough. When I stopped trying to control everything, I finally found a peace that only God can give.